Alright, folks, get this. India's financial world saw a pretty historic moment this past Sunday, February 1, 2026. That's when Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman unveiled the union budget for the fiscal year 2026-27. Now, this was a massive break from tradition, because the budget speech actually happened on a Sunday, not a regular weekday. And trust me, that got absolutely everyone talking, from economists to politicians, right across the country. Things kicked off at 11 a.m. IST sharp in Parliament. This wasn't just a weird scheduling thing, it also signaled a real, symbolic shift in how India runs its financial show. But it wasn't just the Sunday timing that made this big news. It was also a huge personal milestone for Finance Minister Sitharaman herself. She's now presented the budget 9 times in a row, a first ever in India's parliamentary history. That makes her the longest-serving finance minister, period. She's been in that hot seat since May 31, 2019. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for his part, called the budget historic. He really pointed out its focus on women's empowerment, or what we call Nari Shakti. And he gave a big shout out to Sitharaman's record-setting achievement as a woman finance minister. Now, about presenting it on a Sunday. Even though we've seen Saturday budgets before, like in 2025 and 2015, this Sunday presentation definitely set a brand new precedent. Historically speaking, way back in 1999, when February 28 happened to fall on a Sunday, the then finance minister, Yashwant Sinha, actually moved the budget a day earlier, just to steer clear of the weekend. But this time, the government was super committed to that fixed budget date, a system they brought in back in 2017. And that meant going ahead with the Sunday presentation, no ifs, ands, or buts. It really showed they were determined to stick to the schedule, no matter what day of the week it landed on. This commitment gives Parliament plenty of time to talk about and approve all those budget proposals before the new financial year kicks off on April 1st. So, a really big deal about this year's historic Sunday budget presentation was actually what happened with India's financial markets. Now, even though some early reports said otherwise, both the Bombay Stock Exchange, or BSE, and the National Stock Exchange, NSE, actually held special full trading sessions on Sunday, February 1, 2026. This move meant investors could jump right in and react to the union budget announcements. Trading kicked off after a short pre-open session, from 9 a.m. to 9:08 a.m., and then just kept going until 3:30 p.m., pretty much like a regular trading day. And get this, it was only the second time since India's independence that the equity markets were open on a Sunday. That really showed how much the government wanted the market to engage with the budget announcements in real time. So, what was the market's instant reaction? Well, it was pretty noticeable. Key indices, like the BSE Sensex and NSE Nifty, actually took a pretty big hit, dipping by up to 2% during that special Sunday trading session. This dip was mainly because of a proposed hike in the Securities Transaction Tax, or STT, on equity derivatives. That was a measure announced right there in the budget. For example, the BSE benchmark ended up closing at 80,722.94, that's down 1,546.84 points, or 1.88%. Meanwhile, the Nifty finished at 24,825.45, dropping 495.20 points, which is 1.96%. Foreign institutional investors weren't just sitting around either. They sold off equities worth a whopping 588.34 crore rupees on this budget Sunday. But here's the twist. Come Monday, February 2, 2026, both the Sensex and Nifty actually bounced back pretty nicely in early trade. This was thanks to some smart value buying in those big, reliable blue-chip firms, helping them claw back some of what they'd lost the day before. This immediate market reaction really highlights just how crucial the union budget is on the economic calendar. It's where the government lays out all its spending plans, tax ideas, and what it's prioritizing, which, of course, directly impacts investment decisions and economic planning across pretty much every sector. That unique Sunday trading session made sure that everyone in the market could factor in these big announcements without any delay whatsoever. Alright, so the union budget for 2026-27 just dropped, and it really shows us where India's head is at, outlining its big plans and priorities across a bunch of key areas. When it comes to national security, the Ministry of Defense got a really substantial chunk of the budget. This just goes to show how committed India is to beefing up its security capabilities and bringing its armed forces into the modern age. This cash injection is all about funding projects to boost our defense readiness and push for more made in India defense tech. And guess what? Infrastructure development is still a massive focus, with a lot of money earmarked for improving how we connect places and move around. The railway budget, for instance, is getting a big boost for vital upgrades and expansion. Plus, they're pouring money into high-speed rail corridors to really modernize India's transport system, making it much quicker and more efficient to move both goods and people. And the Road and Transport Ministry? They also got allocations aimed at improving our national road network, which is, of course, absolutely crucial for economic growth and connecting different regions. On the agriculture front, supporting farmers continues to be a cornerstone of the government's policy. The PM Kisan scheme, that's the one giving direct income support to farmers, is still getting funded, along with bigger budget allocations for the agricultural sector as a whole. These steps are all about boosting farm productivity, looking out for our farmers, and making sure the whole nation has food security. Industrial policy initiatives also got a big push, with new schemes like the National Fiber Scheme for textiles rolling out, aiming to really boost manufacturing competitiveness in this crucial sector. And get this, they're also looking at developing rare earth mineral corridors. That's a super strategic move to secure crucial resources, cut down on imports, and basically make India more self-sufficient in advanced manufacturing and technology. Ultimately, all these specific budget decisions across different sectors are geared towards one thing: driving India's economic growth, boosting its national capabilities, and making life better for every single citizen. Alright, let's break down this budget, shall we? But it wasn't just the usual suspects getting the spotlight. The 2026-27 Union Budget also dove deep into some new, super important areas for India's future and overall well-being. Healthcare and research, for instance, got a big shout-out. We're talking funds going to places like NIMANS for mental health services, which really shows a growing push for looking after everyone's health, top to bottom. And get this, ISRO, our very own Indian space research organization, also saw its budget increase. This means they're still pouring money into space exploration, satellite tech, and scientific research, all super important for national development and for India to stay competitive globally. The budget also shone a bright spotlight on new, emerging sectors, like medical tourism initiatives. The big goal here is to really position India as a global hub, the go-to place for specialized medical treatments and wellness. These investments are all about capitalizing on India's amazing healthcare expertise and drawing in international patients. That'll not only pump up our economy but also boost our soft power on the global stage. Now, for a truly massive takeaway, both financially and politically, this budget introduces the new Income Tax Act, 2025. This isn't just any change, it's a major tax reform, and it's slated to kick in from April 2026. The good news is, this timing gives individuals and businesses several months to really wrap their heads around and prepare for the new tax framework, hopefully ensuring a much smoother transition. And speaking of priorities, the budget's big focus on women's empowerment, coupled with Finance Minister Sitharaman making history with her 9th consecutive budget presentation, talk about continuity, really highlights the government's key policy goals and signals super steady fiscal leadership. This kind of continuity is expected to really bring in stability and give a super clear direction for India's economic journey over the next few years. Oh, and for our market watchers, the budget also threw in some measures around the Securities Transaction Tax, or STT, on futures and options, F&O. They're proposing to hike it to 0.05% from the previous 0.02%, and you can bet that definitely got the market reacting on budget day. So, all these reforms, when you put them together, are really aiming to build a super robust economic environment, spark innovation, and push for growth that includes everyone, right across the nation. Alright, so the Union Budget presentation? That's always a huge deal in India. I mean, it consistently grabs massive attention from literally everyone: households, businesses, investors, the whole financial market. It's basically the government's master plan, right? It spells out exactly where they'll spend money, what tax changes are coming, and their big priorities for the next financial year. And this, of course, totally impacts how businesses invest and how the economy plans out across every single sector. Now, the parliamentary timeline for this whole budget process? That's actually super important. The budget session of Parliament officially kicked off on January 28th and is set to wrap up on April 2nd, 2026. Oh, and there's a recess in there, from February 13th to March 9th. This longer schedule is totally designed so Parliament has ample time to really debate, approve, and get all those budget proposals ready to go before the new financial year officially kicks off on April 1st. This earlier scheduling, a change made back in 2017 when they shifted the budget presentation to February 1st, is all about making sure that funds and projects can actually start without a hitch right at the beginning of the fiscal year. Interestingly, the government decided to present the budget on a Sunday this time. And even though that's usually a bit tricky with all the standard procedures, it actually set a pretty big new precedent. It basically showed that the government can and will get Parliament together on weekends if needed, just to make sure really important financial processes get started right when they should. This kind of suggests that we might see this practice again for budget presentations, especially if the usual February 1st date happens to fall on a weekend. It's essentially them prioritizing efficiency and getting fiscally ready over just sticking to traditional schedules. Overall, this budget really takes a comprehensive approach, touching on everything from smart financial management, boosting economic growth, and even social welfare. It truly just underlines their ongoing commitment to India's long-term development.